Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at the break statement, the goto statement and the continue statement. Okay, so the break statement, what it essentially does is that it breaks out of a loop. Alright, the goto basically takes you from one point in the code to some other point, so it gets you from point to point. From one point to another point, and then the continue statement, what it does is that it leaves you from, it like skips an iteration. Alright, so we're gonna have a look at all of this. Firstly, let's start with the goto. Okay, so if I have C out 5, alright, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna create a label. Okay, I'm gonna call this label LBL, alright, like that, and I'm gonna say right here go to LBL. Okay, so what this will do is that it's LBL is gonna be printed, sorry, not LBL, cout, it will cout 5, and then when it reaches over here it's gonna go back to LBL. It's gonna cout 5, and then it's gonna come back here and it's gonna go back to LBL and it's gonna cout 5. So that's what it is. Now what we essentially need to do is we need to put go to LBL in an if statement. Okay, so I'm going to say if x is not equal to 8, then we're going to go to LBL. Alright, and else we're going to increment x. Alright, so I'm going to declare a variable called x equal 4. Alright, let's make x 4. So let's see what, let's run and check what happens. Okay, we have an infinite loop. X is not equal to 8. Okay, we get that. If x is not equal to 8, so the thing is that x is 4. Label cout 5. Okay, that's perfect. If x is not equal to 8, if x is 8, then it's gonna go to LBL. Else, okay, I think we're gonna have to put this inside of here, and we're gonna have to put those brackets because we have more than one line in it. Okay, let's just try that out, and it works. So what it does actually, if I zoom in right here, is that it's going to go into the main function. It's going to see that x is equal to 4, and then there's going to be a label here, right, and then it's going to cout 5. Now a label is a point where we reference to go back to. Okay, so go to LBL. Now it's going to come here, it's going to check if x is equal to 8. If it is not equal to 8, and if it is not equal to 8, that is going to increment x. So now x is going to be 5, and then it's going to go back to the LBL. So even it's going to keep on continuing this. Okay, it's going to keep on couting it until it's going to keep on couting. It's going to keep on incrementing x, and it's going to keep on going back to the label until x is actually equal to 8. Once it's actually equal to 8, so let's just have a look. Okay, so 4, and now it's going to be cout label is gonna cout once, and x is not equal to 8, so x plus plus, now x is 5. Okay, then it's gonna print out another time, and it's gonna make x 6. Then it's gonna print out a third time, then it's gonna make x 4, not 4, 6, and 7. Okay, and it's gonna on the 7th iteration, it's gonna had printed it 4 times. So then it's gonna cout another time, right? It's gonna make x8 right there, and then it's going to go back there to label, and it's going to see out the one last time, and then it's going to see that x is actually equal to 8, so we're not going to run the loop, and we're not going to go to, we're going to come back here, and instead of going back, we're going to come here instead of going back to the label. So that's what label and goto does. Goto just creates a label to where you go back to. Now labels aren't really used in modern C++. because it just messes up the flow of the program. It's a bit difficult to track, so it's deprivated. However, break and continue isn't deprivated. So now if I have a while loop, a while, right, while x is not equal to 8, alright, I'm gonna see here, I'm gonna say x plus plus, okay, and I'm gonna say cout x. Let me just see out x. Okay, now what's gonna happen is that, okay, I think we had to, no, we had to actually put it over here, right? So we're going to see that it prints out 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, that's just like that, abnormal way of doing it. However, did you know that instead of saying actually a while loop isn't really a good example of this. Assume I were to put in a true, alright, instead of x equal to, x not equal to 8, I want to actually put in a true right here. So I want to make this run, keep running, keep running, keep running, but based on a certain condition I want to run the loop, but I want to also break a loop on a certain condition. Okay, this is actually better represented by a for loop. So let me create a for loop rather. Int I equals 0, and we're going to say I is not equal to 8, and I'm going to say I plus plus. Right, and I'm going to now say int I input is equal to cin. Sorry, okay, cin. Now assume I actually put in input here. Okay, so if the user enters 0, then I want to break the loop. Okay, assume that. So I'm gonna run this 4 times or 8 actually 8 times. Okay, we don't need this variable anymore. Okay, so this loop is gonna run 8 times. Okay, so it's gonna terminate after the 8th iteration. However, I want to also terminate this loop based on the input of the user. So if the user inputs a 0, it means he wants to terminate the loop. Or let's just make this a string. So string input, and I'm gonna say here cout, do you want to continue? Alright, and I'm gonna say yes or no. So the user can just input like that, string yes or no, yes or no. Alright, now if I were to put in a cin input, and I'm gonna now have a if condition saying if the input is equal to no, alright, and this should actually, it's a string, so it's not single, it's actually double quotation marks. Now if input is actually equal to no, then I'm gonna put a break. I'm gonna break out of the loop. So let's just run this. I'm gonna run it, and it's gonna ask me, do you want to continue? I would say something else. I'm just gonna say type in yes. I'm gonna 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 type in yes 8 times. So we count this. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 times it printed yes. However, what if I wanted to end the program based on a no? Well, it will still work, because what break does is that it checks if we entered no. So let me just write yes, and you can see it works. But if I press no, if I write no, so it actually entered the program. So that's what break just does, essentially. Simple. It breaks the loop basically on a certain condition. Okay. Next, what we have is the continue statement. Lastly, so what does continue do? Well, continue skips an iteration. So if I wanted to cout cout I, now I'm going to put an endl as well. So endl and cout all the i's. Okay, so it's going to print out all the numbers from 0 until 7. Alright, so 0 and it comes until 7. The 8th one isn't printed. So assume I actually want to only print out I want to skip the 5th iteration, or the number 5. So I'm going to say if I is equal to 5, then I'm just going to say continue. Okay, so what this will do is that it's gonna, when I is 5, right? So when I, which is 0, and maximum is 7, right? So when it's 8, then it's not gonna run the loop. Then the thing is that when I is equal to 5, then it's gonna continue, meaning it's gonna skip 5. So it's not gonna, you know what? This should actually be over here. Okay, so when I is 5, it's gonna continue, meaning it's not gonna execute any of that. It's just gonna come and then it's gonna implement the sixth. It's gonna increment I again, and then I is gonna be 6. So it's gonna skip the fifth iteration, or the number 5. So you can see here there's no number 5 once we run. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's supposed to be a 5, but there isn't a 5 because it skipped it because of the continue. However, if I were to remove continue and run it, then you would see that it still runs, but this time it printed 5. Alright, so this is what you can use to also print out odd numbers or even numbers. So I would say if the modulus of I is equal to 0, meaning if it is an even number, then just then don't print it, continue. So it's going to print out all the odd numbers, and I'm just going to make it until 100. So if I run this, you can see it prints out only the odd numbers. Right, let me zoom in. Only the odd numbers. And the same can happen if I print, let's just make it 30, right, till 30. If I were to print not equal to 0, so continue, you can see it prints out all the even numbers. So it skips the iteration when it's an odd number. Right, so that's continue, break, and go to in C++.